Tonight, information you need to know if you have a parent or maybe a grandparent or another family member in assisted living. A Mooresville family called me to help them get money back after they say the assisted living facility didn't follow proper procedures when their father passed away. Now, if you're in this situation or maybe even headed that way a little bit later on down the road, there is a lot to know and a lot to keep track of every single day.
The Somerville family chose Carillon Assisted Living in Mooresville for their dad, Glenn. The stay wasn't long, a surgery was needed, and things didn't go well. Their dad, Glenn, was moved to hospice for end-of-life care. The Somervilles lost their dad, but they say something important never happened before that day came.
State statutes requires Carillon or any other assisted living facility in a situation like this to go to the hospital, go to the medical staff, do an assessment to see if the resident is going to be able to come back as a tenant. And they didn't do this.
The Somervilles say no medical assessment was ever done at the hospital and say Carillon continued to bill them for the time their dad wasn't living there. The bill, $5,437.43 by their estimate, something which is in dispute right now, which is why they called me.
The onus was on them to determine his suitability to return to the facility.
Earlier this week, Carillon told me on the phone that the contract says families can be billed until belongings are removed, and they say the charges here reflect that. But with no medical assessment done, would you or should you vacate if you're in that situation?
If the facility does an assessment and they deem that they can no longer provide the health care services to the resident, they inform us that we must vacate the property.
Because if we'd have known that, we'd have moved him immediately. There wouldn't have been any ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Lots of families find themselves faced with these situations: the billing, the health, and the end-of-life care. Two takeaways here. First, make sure there is great two-way communication. And companies tend to fall back on all that small print in their contracts when disputes like this arrive. So read it thoroughly and note all the deadlines. So far, Carillon has refunded the Somerville family almost half of the disputed bill, roughly $2,500. But the Somervilles want the whole amount back, and they say they're entitled to it.
Because you're relying on them, you're paying them a very large fee for them to guide you through these processes.
So Carillon is based over in Raleigh, and they wrote me saying that they have acted fairly and ethically in this matter. Now, as for that assessment, which is in dispute, as is the bill, Carillon says it is not required until a resident is ready to return, and that some residents hold on to their rooms during hospital stays and maybe even through rehab. The Somervilles, though, were quick to point out that the care their dad got while he was there was good. Their issue is with the business side of things. I put the laws governing nursing homes in the web script of this story, and if you'd like to read that and become more acquainted with that, especially if you're headed down that road, you can look for it over on WCNC.com.
All right, thanks, Bill.